Is it on go or is it on three or is it on one?
Problematic.
I'm Marquise.
Problematic. Problematic. Cookout podcast. Here, Sito in the building. Problematic.
It's your boy Jude.
Problematic cookout podcast. Problematic.
Yo, what did my man just say then?
Problematic.
Yo, you're listening to Mr. Rock.
Problematic cookout podcast.
Yo, it's your boys from the Problematic Cookout. Back at it again with round 2 of episode 1 of the podcast. I'm Juju, your host for today.
I'm Marquise.
Yo, Rock, aka Mr. Rock.
And it's your boy Sito from Brooklyn.
And we are the Problematic Cookout. Welcome to the family of young chefs. Welcome to start of something new. We know this is well overdue, and I know some of you have been waiting for this episode for a long time, and we appreciate you all rocking with us and being patient. We quickly wanted to give you a little rundown of who we are and what this is all about. We'll speak to you about topics ranging from financial independence, social media, how to start your side hustle, dating. We'll have hosts and guest speakers and whatever else you want to hear about and talk about here at the Cookout. But man, this episode is going to be a little different as we had all these great plans, not only for 2020, but for this podcast, but that's been derailed a little bit. It's been a heavy past few months for us. And as you can see by the title of this episode, we're just kind of wondering what the hell is going on. It won't always be like this, but we've had a lot happen to both, in our personal lives and in the world, what's going on. So we wanted to take a second and just kind of talk about how we've been handling it all, how we've been feeling about it, and bring it all to you and speak about it. All right, fellas. So for this first topic that we have here, I don't think that there's really any easy way to introduce it. There's not going to be an easy way to transition out of it at the end of it, but I thought it was important to talk about it because it's someone that's important to us, and we're having a whole episode dedicated to him and to this event. But the loss of one of our closest friends, one of our podcast members, one of our coworkers, and I think that dealing with grief and dealing with mourning is hard on its own, but dealing with it in a pandemic is a whole nother level. So yeah, bring it to you guys on how that's been for you guys the past few months.
First up, man, like I knew the brother, not in too much depth, like, just get to know him. I was about to move into a new role where I would have been working much closer with him, and I was really looking forward to that. So when that happened, it kind of threw me back to an experience that I had just a year back around the same time with one of my closest, who passed away. And, as we're getting older, it's interesting in terms of like how we see like death from a perspective of, being young and knowing about it, but not on the same level. And as you're getting older, the things that you have to take into consideration now is much deeper, because there's many other things that impact, someone passing or moving over to the next stage, So it really does get you to, start focusing and thinking, quite deeply about things. But also, one of the main things I always say is like, talk to people, share your experience, share your thoughts, because everybody in this world has gone through it or is going to go through it at some point. And, we just got to be here for each other as human beings,
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the hard parts about this whole quarantine or, this COVID situation, because there's not as much of that. You can talk to people, but it's just not the same. It's, you're trying to mourn through it, but you can't really do it the same way. You can't have the same kind of support and everything. I think for me, what's been the hardest is just it feels like it almost hasn't hit me completely because we've been in quarantine, and it's almost normal for me not to see him. But it's when the little things happen, when I want to hit him up for something, like an album just came out, And I'm like, oh, shoot, I can't even text the guy. Like, that's the level of like quarantine where that's the level, like, it's a whole nother level, right? And that's kind of been the crazy part about dealing with this, is that I feel like there's no closure for me, even at this point where it's been, 3 months.
Yeah, man, I feel that, bro. I'd say for me, it's kind of the same thing, especially since just before this whole COVID-19 thing happened, I moved out of the city, left all my friends. Just dealing with all that was hard. I even had to just speaking to people. I know Brock, you mentioned that you got to speak to people, man. I feel like I went about it the wrong way. I was just keeping to myself, and it's really hard to get out of that mindset. I mean, with time, I got to kind of deal with it, but definitely, if I could have a do-over, I'd have to, find another way to deal with these feelings, because it's hard. I'll be honest, it's hard. And I remember when Juju let me know about the memorial, I had to make a point to actually come out, even though you're not supposed to fly around these times. Like you're not supposed to be meeting with people and all that. But I had to make a point to just come out, because it was tough. It was tough dealing with that alone. But at the end of the day, I still got my boys here with me, so yeah, we good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's like I can't even go into the damn country to see him memorial. I'm just like, all of this is done. And for the rough part is that I'm going to keep running into a lot of stuff that's just going to remind me of him. Like, it could be like a mimosa or like some other thing. And I'm just going to be like, damn, that was one of our cherished moments and stuff like that. Uber rides, and because we used to travel all over, because we had basically the same job, just two different sides of the same coin. But it's pretty sad. I honestly still can't believe it until I do that first like work trip where I'm like dolo, and I'm like, damn, this is really a thing right now. Like, it's like I just don't want to believe that this is the status quo right now, and I just gotta keep like accepting it.
For sure. It's like when you actually have to, do something that you would normally do with him, that it's like, wait, hold on now. Like, he's
right.
Really
it's
not
like,
there.
Oh, Flight Club open?
Seriously. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, because like this whole podcast was kind of like a joke at first. I didn't think we would actually end up doing it, and then everyone just turned up, and like, we started putting in work, and we were getting so much headway, and then
all of a sudden,
things just happened the way they did.
Yeah. No, that's the crazy part. And I think that it brings me so much perspective on this whole concept of time, right? Because actually, before it happened, we had driven down to Montreal together, and he stopped and dropped me off at my crib, and he wanted to come give a hug to my mom and say hi, because she had met him on FaceTime, but not in person. And we're like, nah, this ain't the right time. Like, with all the COVID and everything happening. And we didn't like in a million years would have thought like, oh no, this might be like your last opportunity to, give a hug to my mom. And even my mom talks about it. She's like, that's crazy. Because like she felt some kind of way, because I want to go out, like, he's such a big part of Juju's life. I want to go out and give him a hug, but with all this COVID happening and they're traveling from Toronto, and now it's like, for real, like like she just thought maybe at the end of the week I'll give him a hug or I'll meet him, and that's it brings perspective to all of that.
Yeah. I like to say, like, one of the things that, we can, take from his passing is the fact that I've always thought to myself, like, when I leave this earth, I want people to be able to say good things about me.
Yeah.
And not just good things in terms of, making it look pretty just for the audience or whatnot, but for genuinely people to say good things about me.
Exactly.
And that guy left here with good things said about him. Like, as I said, I knew him for probably about, just under a year or whatnot. But every time I met him, every conversation, he was a cool dude. He just opened up, always smiling. And then hearing at his memorial all the, all the things that people had to say about him. He just showed that he was here for a purpose, right?
Yeah, he was really about that life. Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
And he fulfilled it by being that kind of person that had an impact on so many people's lives. That now he's not here; he's here within every one of us that met him.
Yep.
You know, so it's giving us that drive to go through and follow his lead. You know,
that's facts.
Yeah, word.
Yeah, man. Damn, Rock, you missed out on a lot of Raptors games, man. You could have pulled up with us.
You know the worst thing? You guys invited me one time. I was like, I wanted to come, but I gotta go all the way back over, over east. And I was like, I have to still have my work clothes on. I was like, yeah, I'll come another time, and I didn't. And it's things like that. We make excuses to say, oh, we're gonna do later. We're gonna do another time or whatnot, and then.
Yeah,
those times sometimes don't materialize, but life is life. We can't. Sometimes we say, "Oh, wish we'd done this," or "Wish we'd done that." But if we had done that, we would have missed out on something else. So everything that happens, they say, happens for a reason. So never, double check. Everything that you do in life, you're doing it for a reason, and it's the right time for the right things to happen.
Big facts,
for sure.
Yeah.
Man, if you're listening to this, just go out and spend time with your loved ones. Tell your loved ones you love them, and just don't waste any time. Really, is if we can leave something with this piece. And like I said, there was going to be no easy transition from this. But another really hard thing that's almost impossible not to talk about right now is COVID-19, and we'll speak in a second a little bit about the impact of the quarantine part, but I want to speak about the actual disease itself, and which is so crazy for me that we're even in this situation. But I think that there's been so many different experiences that have been hard for so many people in different ways, right? There's people that are out there that are dealing with the actual disease, right? They're dealing with the sickness, they're dealing with the deaths of a loved one. And then there's the whole side of people that are on lockdown, like people that are all over the country, just locked in their house, dealing with their mental health and all of that. But, just wanted to speak about how you guys have been living, whether it's the fear or just COVID-19 in general in these times.
Yeah. I'll let one of you guys go first because
I guess I'll go first since, being in America, we got the craziest situation with it. But it's a pretty difficult situation to deal with because on one end, you have everyone who is like, listen to the scientists, listen to the news, wear a mask, do all the precautions you need to make sure that you don't get it. And if you do get it, make sure you do what you can to not spread it to others. But this has gone on so long that there's people thinking that there's a conspiracy behind it, that this is another way to take away American freedoms and liberties. And I don't know why it's going to that kind of point, but in America, it's very easy to do so because everyone thinks there's a conspiracy out. Like the whole Bill Gates vaccine thing, from that to the way the U.S. president is handling the situation.
What is that Bill Gates vaccine thing? So people think that Bill Gates is trying to put microchips into people?
Basically, they think the vaccine, first of all, America is pretty bad with vaccines as it is, right? The American populace, a lot of people don't think vaccines only are there to fix the virus that they're there to stop. So a lot of people think that either vaccines cause autism or that they're putting extra stuff in the vaccine that will mess up your children or something like that, right? Which, it's very easy to get caught up in the conspiracy because everybody keeps believing in it, reposting in it. And it gets to the point where you're just you don't even know what to believe. You try to think about it critically, but there's so much fluff about the autism and cancer thing versus the actual virus stopping what it's supposed to do. So you're just what do I believe? And So when it comes down to Bill Gates said he's going to, put a lot of money into investigating cures. He's kind of been known for doing something like this through, I think he was trying to do malaria in Africa if he hasn't done it already. But, the way I look at it is like, hey, the government is either going to sponsor someone to make this vaccine or a rich person is going to use his own money to pay for it. Either way, something's going to happen where they're going to try and force you to take it. And but then the whole American freedom thing kicks in, and it's like, you're going to do this to me, you're going to do that to me. No, I don't want this because it's going to be bad for my health or blah blah blah. So I'm really curious to see what other countries think about vaccines at this point, because it's just in America, you're either, yeah, I'm going to get a vaccine because that's what is supposed to be done, or vaccines don't do anything for you, so I'm going to stay away from them because they're going to like poison me or do something else.
Man, we gonna need to ask the audience, like, man, if you're listening to this, click in the comment section and let us know what your thoughts on this are. And we're gonna need to fact check a lot of this, because with conspiracy theories, it's like so interesting because everything's kind of out there, and because you can't really fact check it, right? Because the information that's given to you, but it is what it is. How everybody else, how you guys been experiencing where it's like the fear of the disease or just the disease in general?
Yeah, I think like initially when it got to that point where everyone was on lockdown, it was it was an eye opener in terms of the new norm. Everyone had the feeling like, oh, this is going to be a couple of months, and then when they were talking about there's not going to be a vaccine probably until year 21 or 22, and then you kind of like, what? So hold on, what's happening for summer?
Havana.
Yeah, and it's being out there, and I guess when it hit here, it was more so because it was winter, right? So everyone's just going home, and you're kind of happy to be home, so you don't have to go out in the snow or the cold or whatnot. So you could kind of deal with it because there wasn't really much going on and stuff like that. But there's other things that started impacting. So especially in and around, are you going to meet up with family or friends? And if you meet up with friends, it's like, who have you been hanging around with, or, how big is your social circle, or where did you go today? And, you have to start strategically thinking about, who you're actually meeting up with, who you communicating with, because us as, younger males, we could, beat it. Not 100%, but, we got more of a fighting chance because of our health and whatnot. But outside of us, there's mothers, there's grandmothers, there's, grandfathers, there's, uncles, and, you just stepping into that environment. And as we see a lot on the TV, you have these young people that are like, oh, well, I can deal with it. But it's a fact of impacting others, that can't deal with it or don't have the physical ability to deal with, certain situations like that. So that was one of the, big things that, slowed things down and, made me second guess doing things. And after a while, I noticed that I've detached a lot from society in a sense. So now it's getting to the point where, everyone's saying, wear a mask when you're out and about. Just taking those first steps out was weird. It was like the first time you were allowed to go out to play, you were a bit looking around to make sure.
Yeah.
You weren't doing the wrong thing and, not going too far from home and stuff like that. But as it's come along, it's getting more relaxed, but still, I think there's still that thought at the back of everyone's mind is like, if I pass this person or if I speak to this person or this person coughs in front of me, do I need to hold my breath? And
bro, and that's my question. That's my question is like, y'all ever think that we're going back to a place where you going out and it's ever normal, right? Where for me, I go to the store now, or like I'm walking down the street, I see someone coming the other way. I'm like, all right, let me try to keep 6 feet the whole time.
Yeah.
If I see someone cough in the subway or anywhere, you ever think that we're going back to a place where someone sneezing by you or coughs by you and you're just like, whatever, he might have a cough, or like forever from now on, you're just going to be like, hey bro, what you doing in these streets with a cough?
Yeah. without a mask on.
Mhm. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Definitely those masks are essential. I think I feel like we kind of had it easy though. Like this could have been like that one city in China was called
Wipeout.
Wuhan, and it's just like a
Yeah.
total lockdown. You ain't doing anything. You know, like we
Yeah.
kind of had it easy because I guess we have choice or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, and even still, we didn't take it as seriously as we should have. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
We really did it.
Just a
And we
quick
still
thing on
don't.
just a quick thing on that is like, you know, we have our own spaces to be in, right?
Yeah.
And if we want to quarantine, want to stay away, we have that ability. But when you watch some of those news clips and you see those people back in, you know, the third world countries and stuff that live densely,
For sure, yeah.
living, you know, like 5 people in the same room and things like that, they don't have that ability. So sometimes we're here, we say, oh, well, we can't go out, we can't do this, we can't do that. Yo, we have so much things that we need to be grateful for and that we can do. Even just having a PC in front of you to people that don't even have that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know? And I you know, I gotta say that I'm guilty of that because when they shut down the Foot Locker stores,
For sure.
I wasn't very happy.
Oh, me.
He was like, I can't get fresh right now.
For real,
All the online releases, we were getting so mad.
Yeah.
We kept talking about like all the online releases we couldn't get, and like while other people are literally just struggling with like basic needs.
Yeah, but
can't get my drip right now, bro. What's
I'm
going on?
Get my drip right, and I can't even go outside, but I still want to be fresh, ready.
Stay ready, stay strapped.
You know.
It's like, I bet you when this lockdown lifts, I'm gonna be the hottest dude outside. Watch
You know.
That's how it be. But you know what? Like ever since we hit like phase 3 or whatever, man, those patios and stuff like that have been bumping. People just wilding out. Like it's crazy.
I think, and I guess we can transition to talk a little bit more about the quarantine part of it. But I think that it's because there's so many things that people had taken for granted that just like going to a park, you know, when here in Toronto, they opened Trinity Bellwoods and they allowed that. Like, I think it's just because they opened up the bathroom so people actually had a place to go. So whenever that opened up, they were like, yo, we got to go. We got to step out the house because some basic things like meeting up with friend at a park and just having a little picnic, which people didn't really do that much before. But now people realize like, yo, just getting outside the house are things that we took for granted, what we want to do now. So as soon as they open little things is, for me, it's still a little weird because I had a trip to Vegas planned this year, but I was like, even though Vegas is open, so that's cool, I don't think that I'm comfortable stepping in a pool with a bunch of people and like buddying up with a bunch of people that I don't know where they've been. But for others, they're like, oh, as soon as they open the clubs, they're back out there. You know, as soon as they open the restaurants, we're back out there. So it's like interesting to me that because people feel so deprived.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's a little nuts in New York too because you know, we did the phase rollout a little bit different since we were the epicenter at one point in time.
Yeah.
And like, I think there was recently like a party in Prospect Park. It's a prominent park in Brooklyn, and it's like 2,000 people just out there just out. And then there's like all this trash and masks and all this stuff all over the floor that they had to get park rangers like clean up and stuff. And just like everyone's just been cooped up too long. They're trying to find a fet, trying to find a yacht, just trying to wild out and
something positive, right?
Yeah. Even if it's just like one time for the one time, and that could be the last time you end up doing it because you might catch it. But
one time for the last time.
Like,
shoot, if you don't go out, might as well go out. You know, like partying. Like, imagine how sad it would be if you catch it and die from it. But it was like from running to the grocery store to grab some toilet paper.
Damn.
Bro, that would be
that's
sad.
a lame way to go.
That's a sad way to go.
Damn.
You know.
But so hey, all of this. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say you were with the shit, so.
It's too late to back up now, man.
But all of this
stocked up when everyone was selling out.
That's true.
So all of this is obviously hard and hard to talk about, but I think that one thing that adds on top of that is people that have had to relocate and adjust to a whole new city in this time. And we know a lot of people have had to do that. So go to a place where, normally to find friends, you go to work, you go to all these different places and build relationships, and not having that opportunity. And Marquise, like, you've actually had to do that. You've actually relocated right before the lockdown and had to adjust to that. And everything we've been talking about, from the loss of a friend to everything going on in our world, you've had to experience it from like a very small room and almost by yourself. So you want to talk about like that experience a little bit?
Yeah, honestly, like when I first decided to move out here, like COVID was like not even on my radar.
Right.
And even when I had my going away party, I had everybody at my house or whatever. And then I started my drive the next day. I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm like, that stuff's not gonna get here. Like, who cares? And then I drive all the way over here. Took me a couple of days, like 5 days out west, and then I start work at my new job, and literally 2 weeks. A week and a bit in, they're like, all right, guys, we're gonna have to close up shop because COVID is here. I'm like, what? I literally just got here. But honestly, that was tough, man. I barely knew anybody. Still probably don't know anybody. It's hard to even get out and like just meet people. Well, maybe now since the restrictions are a little loose. I think I heard a couple bars are opened up, stuff like that. I mean, I don't really do that, but I mean, for other people who trying to go out and get lit, that stuff's opening up. But my adjustment, man, like I said, it hasn't been the best. Like, I haven't gotten about this the right way. Still keeping to myself, just sticking to work. I'm trying to get my studies going as well, because may as well just use this time wisely, because I'm not doing anything else with it. I'd say the sooner we get rid of this whole thing, the better. Then we can get out there and do what we need to do to live. Because right now, man, we just sticking to what we know and trying to get with the times. Like, quarantine at home, working from home. Who knew working from home would be a thing? I was dying to work from home, and now I'm just like, well, now that I have
to, me an office.
I'm like, now that I work from home, I'm like, what? It's not as fun as I thought it would be.
Yeah, shoot. At least he took on running during this time, because, bro, I saw Mark last week, guys. Man, that boy looked good.
That boy good.
That boy looked good.
Stop,
I was like, man, that boy look fit. I'm trying to get like him when I grow up.
Get out of here. I'm actually just trying to look like you, bro.
Stop, man. You play too much. That's your problem.
So what happened was just to fill the gaps in time, because like half the time I was just sitting in my room not doing anything. I decided to start running. That's the one thing I hated doing forever. I've never liked running. Mornings are one of the worst things ever. But what kind of got me going was that old friend Jobu used to like challenge me all the time to be active, and like we used to have these little challenges on the Apple Watch, and he used to beat me all the time. So I was like, okay, I need to like do something now that we can't go to the gym. I gotta like get my activity in. So I started running, and it's been great so far. Like, I think it's just one of those things where it's like mind over matter. Like, you hate it, but once you do it, it's kind of like, you know what, it's not that bad. And then you keep doing it over and over, you get used to it, and then just see where it goes.
No, man, I gotta run with a purpose, man. I gotta have like a football in my hand or like something, bro. I can't just be like
or some toilet paper trying to get home.
That's the problem for me. They always say like the first like 2 runs are the hardest, but the thing is I always give up after the first 2, because I'm like, man, this ain't for me. Like, no.
Yeah.
But the other side to that, though, is body shape and your structure. So, guys like me and you, we're not really made for running like that.
That's why I said that. That's what I got. I got my mind wrapped around that. Like, I'm just not built for it. So I stopped trying.
I can only assume that I'm gonna make a layup for so long, and then fast break. Like, I can't do that for like 2 miles, dog.
I hear that.
But for me, man, growing up, I'd always see my peoples running in the Olympics and like stuff like that, because like my background is Kenyan, so there always been those long distance running and stuff like that. And then I remember when I moved to Canada, a lot of people asked me like, "Yo, do you run a lot?" Like, I'm like, "Bro, I have never ran in my life." They be trying to like
that's a
race me.
stereotype.
They be trying to race me and stuff, and I'm like, "Bro, I do not run." And then so now, hey man,
Like, you
y'all
be
try to
hopping
holler at me.
fences and stuff.
Run away from like lions and stuff like that. Like,
Running away from lions.
but now, yo, hit me up. If you seen this, let me know. We can do a little race outside, no problem. Give me
Yeah.
that work.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Marquis got the woo. We got the bookie.
Right,
Yeah,
this
man,
is going to be a completely different transition, but another topic that's been really, really real. And once again, most of these topics we're going to have full episodes dedicated to it. But the whole Black Lives Matter movement and what's going on in our world, and I think there's a lot of stuff that's going on out there. There's a lot of noise, and I guess this isn't an episode as much to speak about where we coming to you with a lot of facts. We will have that for you, but our goal here really is just to speak about how we're experiencing it and how we've been processing it all.
Yeah. Yeah. This it's an eye opener to see the fact that the death of George Floyd has ignited this, because things have been going on for years, hundreds of years, all this kind of stuff. And I always get to the point where I'm thinking, why now? Why has it become so dominant now? Is it the fact that we all are looking within ourselves more now because of COVID? And is COVID enabling us to actually, take it to that point, as bad as it is, and the impact that it's having on the rest of the world?
Sure.
Has that been a key part in, the whole of this? But yeah, it's quite interesting to see, people starting to pull together, and people, from all walks of life and different shades and different backgrounds actually supporting this movement, and, seeing all these organizations, saying they want to be part of the development and, the decrease of racism and things like that. But then, sometimes as a young black man, I'm sure all you guys can understand where I'm coming from. There's sometimes a thought of, is this really what you want to be doing, or is this something that you're doing because you have to do it for it to look like you are with what everyone else is doing?
Yeah.
So it's probably a deeper conversation, but that's kind of my thoughts at the minute. But it has activated me to be a bit more focused and pushing forward, and wanting to be a role model, because growing up, I didn't really see many role models. I saw family members and that, but nothing that I could look up to in a point and say, yeah, I want to be like that. Apart from when I watched The Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
As crazy as that, man. I switched over to TV one day and I saw this black guy on TV, like in Jordans and a fly hat, and I was like, yo, what is this? And then from that point, every week I would record that and watch it over and over and over again. And it's so inspiring to the fact that from where Will Smith came from to where he is now, what he's doing, seeing myself as Will Smith back then, pushes me to think, well, if he can go from there, even though it was portraying a character, it was still portraying someone that I could relate to.
Yeah.
And to see where he's going and what he's doing, always incites me to, to be doing more positive stuff, reaching out, understanding more about who I am and developing myself as a person. But yeah, I don't know how I got to that point, but yeah.
No, but I love that. To be honest, I love that, because I think that everything about this should be centered around positivity. And that's what I think for me has been a little heartbreaking, is to see the divide that is created. And I think that's, it's a positive and a negative, because it's exposed a lot of people that, where I sometimes ask myself, like, why are you so passionate about, being against the movement? Like, I get if you don't, like, I'm not asking you to come out and protest with me. I'm not asking you to do this or that, but why are you so passionate against that, because there's still people that are living, let's have some kind of compassion for the people that are living it and that have some kind of trauma, right? Because there are a lot of people trying to tell, myself and a lot of young Black men and Black women out there, oh, your fear is irrational. But even if it is, you can say whatever you want. I still have to live it every day. So like, let's at least have some kind of compassion for this. But I think at the same time, it has given me hope, because there's a lot of people that were quiet about it that now, like, and even if you're saying, Rock, like you were mentioning, I don't know if people are just doing something because they feel like they have to, but I feel like I find myself in a lot of conversations that before this, I wasn't able to have. It wasn't like a normal conversation to have. So it has opened the door to some of those conversations, which in my opinion has been really positive. And I have hope. I have hope in, humanity. I have hope in people that we're moving in the right direction. And at the end of the day, whatever you believe, I think that we should just all understand that no matter, where you're from, what you believe, who you voted for, we can all have different opinions, but live in this world together, right? And just do this thing together and understand that you're not a bad person because of what you believe. We just think different, and that's cool. We don't have to believe that the other person needs to die or deserves the worst, right? So that's just where I would hope the world needs to get to. I don't think that the world will ever get to a point where we're like, we have the exact same beliefs and we vote for the same guy. And, I don't think that that's realistic, but we got to share this planet.
Yeah. Beliefs and everything. Yeah. No one's gonna never have the same beliefs, but, the way, a lot of people are thinking, we want to stay white. We want to keep it white, or we want to stay Black and keep it Black, as in the skin color itself. Right. But, there's predictions on where society will be in the next 20, 30 years. And as hard as it is for me to just highlight it and just say it right now, this is the way. And I'm not saying that in terms of the fact that, I'm a Black man now. It's just the fact that any mixing, makes brown. So brown in every aspect of it. You got Black people, you got, people that they call brown people and stuff like that, and all the different shades of people. Yeah. It will get to a point where as they call it, the melting pot. Everybody's going to be, part of something, and the skin color is most likely going to be more dominant. And it's not to say you're more Black than this person, or you're more white than that person. You're going to be a human being at the end of the day. Because if we look at genetics now, when we take those blood tests and, look at the genetic history, there's all types of races in everybody. It's just visually, you'll see, oh, he's a Black person. Oh, where's your family from? The Caribbean. Yeah. Oh, okay. Then they put you in that pot, But going forward in the future, I don't think that's going to be the main thing that people are going to be, fighting for and pushing for, because it's not going to be so much of a thing.
Yeah. For me, it's just like, it's annoying to have to do so many precautions when I'm like going somewhere, because like I always have this like defensive mindset where if I'm going to a new place, the first thing I check, I'm like, all right, am I the only Black guy in the room? Everybody else is not Black. All right, now I have to. The next step is, all right, now I have to decriminalize, threaten myself and do something either that's like quirky or funny, or say a joke just to show that I'm not threatening, I'm not trying to hurt you. Because when I walk in a place, I'm a 6-foot Black dude that's huge, built like a tank, a fat tank, but that's automatically intimidating to some people. And for me, I just feel like from my own life, I have to do stuff to de-escalate, bring that level down, just to show I'm not a bad person. Nobody should do that. Nobody should have to do that. Every other race, like, if a Chinese person goes to like Africa, the first thing that people in Africa are going to see is that they're a Chinese person, right? But at the same time, they're not entirely thinking they're a threat. If a Hawaiian person goes to like Turkey and doesn't speak Turkish language, and it's like, okay, well, you're an outsider, but it's not like, oh, you're gonna do something bad. Why are you here? It's more like, oh, okay, that person's here doing their thing. But whenever it's a black person, usually there's always some kind of side eye, and that's not every country, but certain places I can just feel the like animosity, like even though it's like really like underlaying, and some people might say that's me, but based on reactions and encounters that I've had, I always have these set of rules that I try to do. Either I try to get in there in and out quick, or I try to say something funny, say something jokey, or just kind of lighten the vibe up. And all that stuff is exhausting, but I've just kind of just made it a part of my life at this rate. So
for sure, that's so real, man.
Yeah.
You know what? It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but these kind of ideas or sentiments are kind of like ingrained in you from like a young age. Like I feel like, well, I'm originally from Africa, so like back home, no one really cares about race or anything like that. But as soon as we moved here, like my parents would have a talk with me and tell me like, okay, this is how you're supposed to act, because over here people don't like the way they view you is not like how you view yourself, obviously. So you have to act a certain way. You have to do certain things to like Sid said, de-escalate the situation. And ever since then, like that's like always been my mindset as well. Like, let's say going for like a networking session, you got to put on this face that you're completely someone else. You can't really be yourself. And I feel like for that to change, it's gonna have to be a whole generational shift. Like us, our generation, or like a future generation will have to be like, you know what, it's okay to be yourself, because no one else is gonna be having that mindset anymore. I don't know. I feel like a whole generation has to pass before this comes to being like normalized. I don't know.
I think the best chance is the Generation Z right now. They kind of wilding right now, and then I'm like here for it. I'm like, yay, keep it going.
must be all that TikTok.
It must be, right?
TikTok
gotta be. Yeah. Too bad I can't use it anymore in the States though. Oh,
you should be happy, man.
I never tried to use it anyway.
But it's for real though. It's I think that it's going to take a change, because I think for all of us, it has become almost normal that when we get in a social setting, or what we call maybe a professional setting, it's not even let's not act too black. It's like, just let's not make jokes almost, because we don't want to be that person, right? Like we need to show that I'm a black professional, right? Instead of just showing like
stealth mode.
Yeah, exactly. We always gonna have to show, like, go a little above and beyond. And that's interesting, because I don't even know if we have to, right? It's like, who's really asking us to do that? But it's just like we have that feeling and that pressure, but where does it really come from? But yeah, no, it's interesting times, and I'm actually loving the fact that we have the opportunity to have those discussions, to have that conversation now, and to realize some things, so I think that we're moving in the right direction, and we'll certainly see.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep moving though. No slowing down. Just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah,
it's not. Black Lives Matter this year on the NBA basketball courts. It was like, oh, that was last year. We have some new stuff this year.
Right. That's true. That's 100% true.
We have to keep pushing to keep these things. You put them in place, you keep them in place. Yeah. So,
And guys, obviously a lot more has been happening for us personally, and a lot of people have been experiencing personal things and going through things, whether they're big or smaller. And we want to look ahead and turn these very sour lemons into lemonade. That's a nice little pun that I just put in there. And hopefully we want to be there for you and your journey to do the same, and maybe be a little bit of a positive light in your process of doing that. All right, it's already time to wrap it up. Man, this was a little intense and emotional. I promise we're actually funny people. We are hilarious. If you enjoyed today's episode, and obviously we know you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, go follow us on social media at The Problematic Cookout. We can be found on Instagram right now, and all that good jazz. Starting next week, we'll be starting our intro series where we'll introduce ourselves and make sure you get to know us on a little deeper level. So make sure to join us next week as Marquise tells us a little bit more about taxes and what the hell inspired him to get those glasses. Guys, this was The Problematic Cookout. Never forget, don't ever pull up to a cookout empty-handed. We're signing out. Peace.
Is it on go or
Peace,
is it
y'all.
on, or is it on one?
Later. Problematic.
I'm Marquise.
Problematic. Problematic. Cookout podcast. Here, Sito in the building. Problematic.
It's your boy Jude.
Problematic cookout podcast. Problematic.
Yo, what did my man just say then?
Problematic.
Yo, you're listening to Mr. Rock.
Problematic cookout podcast.